We have another great show for you today and an amazing guest. Welcome to the Tech and Space Leader Show, where we learn lessons from leaders of the next frontier. I am your host, Lisa Dreher, and I'm really excited to introduce our guest for today, Neal Lachman. He is the CEO and Chief of Spacecraft Design at Titan's Space Industries, Inc. Welcome to the show, Neal.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for the invitation.
Sure thing. It's great to have you here today. Maybe we can start by having you give a little background on yourself.
Yes, thank you. Phew, let me start with saying I entered the space entrepreneurship in 1992. That's 33 years ago.
Wow.
I was just 22, and yeah, I picked up the phone to inquire about satellite transponder capacity to, and this was in Holland. I'm a Dutch citizen also, and this was in Holland in 1992. And I called all the way to USA Pan Am Sat, and I said, "How can I get transponder capacity? Because I want to start a cable network, a news network."
Oh,
So,
oh my
so
gosh.
that's
Wow.
how stuff started.
You were ambitious. Holy moly. Okay, so how did
Yeah.
you come to found Titan Space Industries and tell us a little bit about what Titans is doing?
Well, so long story short, Titan Space Industries is the culmination of all my experiences. Uh, when I talk about my personal experience, um, so it started with calling Pan Amsat 33 years ago, resulted in my brothers and I, getting three global digital satellite broadcast licenses. 1995, this 30 years ago. And then we went into content deals with Indian operators, long story. And then in 1998, we founded Internet Hypergate, what would become the world's first large scale commercial private satellite broadband uh, um, internet service provider. This is
Wow.
1999. Yeah, so
Wow.
I financed, my brother and I financed the first pilot of a multi hundred megabit download with satellite in 1999, December, I believe. We advertised that in the Wall Street Journal and everything. Big campaign, everything. And then, of course, the telecom crash
Yeah.
happened in 2000.
Yeah.
Long story, also. But so I have always been in telecom and um, internet Titan Space Industries. Before we started calling it Titan Space Industries, started again with our plans to launch satellite in a low Earth orbit with Musk on our tail. And then, given the wealth and depth of uh, budget reach of Musk and his friends, we decided to uh, wait and learn. And you'll hear that often from us. We wait and learn. It may be that we miss out on some opportunities. For example, that. Um, but yeah, that started our my re-entry in the space industry as such after a long pause. So, but then we are focusing not only on one segment, but on a full scale of what we call cislunar economy. It starts on the runway with our space plane, and then space station in Leo, spaceships that go to lunar orbit uh, um, dock at a lunar space station, and then there are transporters to the lunar surface where we want to build our own uh, lunar settlement, our lunar base. So this is a full cislunar transportation infrastructure that we are proposing.
Wow.
And that is because we think if you do only one, you will have to pay for the rest to others. And if you are planning large scale stuff, then you need this infrastructure. So I'll give you an example without naming names. There are companies that want to mine lunar, uh, 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 mine helium-3 on the lunar surface.
Yeah.
Now, that's not going to work with today's technologies, also not with Starship. So it's a very wishful thinking business model.
Uh,
Without the proper large scale infrastructure, you cannot mine stuff. You cannot bring your trucks even to the lunar surface, let alone doing the hundred thousands of tons of regular shifting. It's not going to happen as they think, and this is where we specialize in large scale cislunar transportation infrastructure, which then also happens to be the best way to transport humans. So all of a sudden, human transportation for tourism and exploration on the lunar surface becomes a large scale event possible
okay.
by our infrastructure.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Okay, so that is a ton of things to try to unpack. How are you doing all of this? I mean, that's a lot of things to work on, right? You're working on a launch vehicle, you're working on space stations in, I guess, Leo orbit, you're looking at space stations in lunar orbit, cislunar, you're looking at uh, vehicles to move people from a lunar orbit space station to the lunar surface. I mean, that's a lot to work on. How are
No,
you undertaking all of this? And I guess, where are you in this whole development process?
that's a very good point. However, yes, we know that the hardware um, development manufacturing is a whole different animal. But we are already almost 5 years into the planning stage. So everything that we want to do, well, let's say almost everything in terms of vehicles, spacecraft, and so has been through the critical design review already.
Wow.
So so we have um, we have had 5 years of fine tuning.
Yeah.
So the preliminary design review resulted in a year or so ago of finalizing all the critical design review, whether it is of the space plane or the space station or the spaceship or the lunar lander. We are doing critical design review without a full stop. We
Uh-huh.
are fine tuning every day.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so your
That
website talks about you doing your first launch, I think, in 2029. So tell us a little bit about that and how the schedule is
yeah,
looking.
yeah. So everything we'll do is consecutively. It's not simultaneously.
Yeah, yeah.
The launch that we're talking about in March 2029, which is only for our internal people and some paying guests, that is tentatively March 2029. So it
Wow.
could be September, it could be also 2030.
Yeah.
We want to do it by 2029. So this is all about early next year. We'll finalize the facilities, the factories and facilities.
Okay.
We have a large spaceport coming up in hopefully California. We have two shortlisted. And once we decide which one we're going to develop, we'll start our factories and facilities there. And
Wow.
then we'll start the preliminary testing. We'll also have test vehicles. One will be an uh, subsonic vehicle with
Uh-huh.
only the jet engines,
Okay.
scale 1/20th, and another will be a suborbital flight test vehicle,
Okay.
unmanned, but that will be also great for us to then integrate into the testing and development of our final test vehicle, which will be the one-to-one real functional space plane that we'll also hope to have as the first operational space plane. Now, the 2029 date will be most likely with an what they call a test vehicle experimental license. So
Understood.
not operational as such.
Okay. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about this concept of a space plane because I think you're taking maybe a slightly different approach than previous launch vehicles. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, great question. So the space plane, as you know, there are a lot of space plane plans and so on, but none of this scale.
Okay.
And this is also thanks to developments in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s. For example, the geniuses who built the NASA space shuttle space plane, the orbiter, Atlantis, Endeavour, and so on, Rockwell International came up with this concept of the Star Raker. And our space plane is basically an improved version of that concept. We have 40 plus years of advanced materials, engineering, technology, computation, and all kinds of approaches that we can benefit from, while these people who build the NASA space planes were convinced that they could build it with technology back then. So it would have been a huge space plane with 100 metric ton ultra heavy lift capacity,
Uh-huh.
and we want to do the same. It will be a very large payload bay, 6 meter by 6 meters, and 42 meters long, which is huge.
Yeah.
The largest payload bay in the industry. But we also then thought, okay, that's for cargo. We'll do crazy stuff. We can do a lot of uh, launches. Um, what the rocket industry can do in 1+ years, we can do in 1 month with this
Wow.
one space plane. But
Yeah.
then we also thought, wait a second, this huge payload bay, which is 6 meters by 6 meters, could be a double decker airplane like configuration.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we came up with the um, development of a large tourism and exploration vehicle. So it could be like a jumbo jet interior.
Yeah, yeah.
So now with the ongoing critical design review, we have given specs with 330 people. Now have decided that we'll keep it at less than 250 people, which is also recently decided. On our website, you'll see the older 330 people configuration. But for example, this means that 200 plus people can go to space per flight. So
Wow.
by that time, in 2029, let's say there will be around 1,000 people who have gone over the Kármán line. That would mean in 4 flights, we'll have as many as have been in history,
Wow.
astronauts.
Oh my
And
gosh.
this is going to happen.
So I think that kind of leads to your focus. And I think you are really interested in making space more accessible for kind of everyday people, right? So can you talk a
Yeah.
little bit more about that?
Yes, that is something that goes to the heart of our organization. We have an entire group of 30 people working on this under leadership of Dr. Jeremy Zage and Dr. Van Vijay. And both are in charge of what we call the space health and space medicine and the inclusivity, led by people like whom we call our space mom. That's her call sign. Um, we think that even children. So you and I all dream about, okay, one day there will be children also in space. Yeah, but who will take them then?
Yeah.
And then there are these implications of, okay, can a kid, should a kid go to space? Um, what will happen with that kid's body
Yeah.
and health? So this is an intertwined effort from our people like our chief medical officer Jeremy Sachet and our deputy chief medical officer Dr. Vijay, who's also our chief engineer. Um, it's it's something that we are dedicated to. As a matter of fact, we are telling our astronaut candidates, you people should think along with us in the design of the features and then amenities and all kinds of structures in our spacecraft to include children. And we also invite children to think along with us. So
Wow.
we take it serious. Now, another thing, for example, is that we are accommodating. For example, this is a really different approach than any other space station company, for example, where we say, okay, we're going to sell penthouses in our beautiful ultra exclusive space station, which is a new design that we are unveiling today, as a matter of fact, Lisa. And we'll say, okay, you pay us $1 billion for or a penthouse in space where you can have the overview effect as often as you can, because we can also bring you there and take you from there. Uh, do they want to bring their children along? Do
I
they
know.
want to bring their pets along? Can can pets survive and thrive even in space along with their parents? Yes, we think it could be. So we have zoologists, we have veterinarians, and we have medical doctors who are all involved in this futuristic thinking that we think it should be achieved sooner rather than later. This is why we say time and space is not just for the fun of it, but we want to accelerate everything that you think it will happen in 10, 20, 30 years. We want to accelerate within the next 5 years.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was going to be my next question is, how this sounds pretty fantastical, some of the things you're talking about. And I'm thinking we're talking a decade plus out, but and you're saying your timeline is 5 years?
Yes, well, of course, some stuff, as I said, consecutively, that means our priority is this year, well,
Yeah.
2026. We prioritize everything for the space plane and the space station. Um, so for the others, we have another year or 2 years, or and so on.
Okay.
So and we will do it methodically. So it's not that we are running around like headless chicken, but but on the other hand, yes, we are aware that it is a tight timeline, but that keeps us on our toes. But also, it will help us pinpoint our deliverables, our milestones. So we don't want to say, okay, that's in 10 years. No, we want to put a timeline to it and then commit to it, funding wise, effort wise, development, R&D, everything focused to achieving, for example, the flight readiness of the space plane by March 2029 with people inside. Uh, Experimental though, but still.
Yeah.
And then the space station, which is at the end of 2030, 2029. But uh, we don't need to do it. I tell my astronaut candidates, we have 150 almost now, and I tell them, you people are our best quality controllers because you are involved in the design and development of it, engineering also, and they will never allow me to say, you know what, let's skip that part and let's jump over that quality issue. They will never allow me to do so because their lives are at stake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So inherently in our model is the fact that we will be the most secure and safest space transportation company. Also, with the fact that the space plane doesn't take off like a rocket, but like an airplane. But yes, you know, the thing is, in the industry, they talk about technology readiness level, right? Now, the thing is, almost everything that we use is already commercially available. They don't need a TRL level. So
Uh-huh.
for example, with the space plane has all parts that have already been developed in the past and commercially flown even, and or on NASA missions and so on. But tri delta wings, which is very important for our space plane, that's a proven technology. It's
Yeah.
not you and me trying to develop a new wing system.
Sure.
This is proven technology. Jet engines, proven technology. As a matter of fact, we buy them off the shelf and then we'll refurbish it and modify them with afterburners and ramjets. But they are commercially available products. So we don't need certification and that kind of stuff with that, which would indeed take 5, 6, maybe 10 years.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Wow. Okay. Boy, we've barely scratched the surface here, but if someone wanted to learn more about Titan's Space Industries Inc., what should they do?
Uh, we are more active on LinkedIn because it's a professional network. We have a company page there, Titan Space Industries Inc.
Yep.
We have a newsletter. When you go on my profile on LinkedIn, you can click on my newsletter. Our website is being updated, but that's titanspace.com. But it's not a priority. Our website is not our priority anymore because we don't care too much about that stuff. What we care about is happening on LinkedIn. But yeah, it's important to keep track of our progress. We are growing by the week with multiple people added to the team, and our projects, as I said, we're not just starting now. We have a almost 5 year background and history in coming to this point where we're saying next year onward we really will start building test vehicles.
Excellent.
Lisa,
Well, I'm very excited to watch as things develop. Thank you so much for making time to be here today, Neal. We really appreciate it.
thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you.
And
Thank
I
you.
do want to take just a moment to thank Guideforce for hosting these sessions. To learn more about Guideforce, you can visit guideforce.com. And we look forward to seeing you next time on the Tech and Space Leader Show.